tonight's show is entitled Contemporary Shamanism. Now, I had first heard about Bonnie when not too long ago we just had Anissa on the show from Awaken Soul to Soul. There's a great movie out that not just passive viewing, but it's actually watching these different masters get together, and it's really difficult to describe. What you would want to do is go to awakenthefilm.com. But these different masters, and you're having an actual experience. You are it's an opening, an awakening, a looking into each other's eyes from the screen and the master and yourself, and it opens up all kinds of channels. It's very difficult to describe, and Bonnie is one of the masters in this movie, and that's one of the things we're going to talk to her about, is her description of what took place, how it took place, her viewpoint on this, or maybe what she felt even during the making of this process. But again, Awaken Soul to Soul is the movie, and there is no other movie like it. So you really have to kind of experience, but she's got over 28 years of hands-on experience, and she passes her knowledge on through the contemporary shaman teacher program. She offers mass clearings, all, of course, as to why we're all in this, to assist humanity. So for more on Bonnie, you can visit her on our guest page, but you can go to her website at whiteflameinstitute.com. But let's talk to Bonnie directly and bring her on the show. Hi, Bonnie. How are you?
Hi there, I'm great.
Great. So wonderful to have you on. Thank you for agreeing to come on. It was not too last minute, hopefully, for you, but I appreciate it's the same coming on.
Yeah, yeah. My schedule is kind of, it's flexible and sometimes not, so it worked out perfect.
Totally know that feeling. So first off, talk about it. Sounds like you've added to your title as well. It's not just shamanism, but it's more contemporary, because I think things have changed in the world today
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the whole spiritual development, hasn't it? I frequently talk about in workshops and such about, it's easy to go up into a cave and meditate, but let's come down here where you've got two kids, a part-time job, some single moms, two jobs, all this time, and then have that same meditative state of mind. And it's difficult. So we have to bring it in, we have to work it and weave it into our natural everyday lives. And so it seems to me that contemporary shamanism just kind of embodies that. Is that correct?
Yes, it does. And it's a little different. I mean, in a sense, it's different than what we might consider traditional indigenous shamanism, only because I don't use any of the ceremonies or anything that most shamans might use. My work is really about being able to access energy in an instant by altering my sense of reality. I mean, all shamans have that ability, and at the same time, it's kind of like the new paradigms here, and we don't need to do, or at least I have found that I don't need to utilize things like drumming or trying to go in altered states using alternative methods. It's something that can happen in an instant. But contemporary is really about the new age, the new paradigm. And with the thinning of the veils, it's like more and more people are able to work at these levels that weren't able, this wasn't possible before. And now it is. And it's really, really, really awesome. And for
Um,
me, it's like being able to teach other people to work at these profound levels is probably the most exciting thing in my life right now. So,
isn't that fun? Isn't it when you've hit some understanding? Here's, I mean, the analogy that comes up for me. It's like going into a room and discovering this gold and amazing feelings and just this whole sparkly, just everything. And I stay in it, of course, for myself, but I quickly want to turn around, run out the door, and then get somebody and guide them to it and go, look what I found. Right? Isn't that
yeah.
so much fun? Because when you recognize, because you experience it all over again. That's a wonderful thing about having children, is you get to experience life again with their discovery of things, and it awakens that inside of you. And I think that this is the same type of feeling when you help somebody discover that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So I want to go more into your work, but first, again, the reason why I've contacted you is is because of the movie Awaken Soul to Soul.
Mhm.
Have you ever done anything like that, or even heard of anything like the movie?
No, that was all new. I mean, Denise's vision, she really wanted for people to have an experience, a direct experience by looking right into the person's eyes and literally getting a download of transmission of energy. And I think she did a pretty awesome job of it. So no, that was nothing I had ever. I mean, I've been in done other things and of course TV and all that good stuff, but this was completely different. You know, we're looking right into a camera basically, and we're giving
Right.
teachings or whatever it is we're doing, and then downloading some kind of an energetic transmission. And she captured it on film, which is really cool.
And you've seen that. Have you watched your particular segment?
I have, yeah, yeah.
And what did you grasp from that?
Um, well, I could sense and feel. I mean, there's a state of awareness that we all can obtain, and for me, it was like being able to transmit that and download that through the camera, so I could actually feel it and see it and sense it as I was watching the film.
I think it would be very different. It's one thing to watch yourself on camera,
Hmm.
but in a situation like this, it's almost like staring into a mirror, but yet not, right? And so I think it'd be very interesting to connect soul to soul with yourself. I don't know if you tried it or not, or if you sat through your segment, but
Yeah, that it's kind of like that. I mean, it's cool though.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the process was pretty awesome actually. When they were filming me, I was the first one they filmed, and they actually filmed like quite a few hours. They actually flew out to me. I was in the desert at that time, and they flew out, drove out, and they were there for 2 days. And out of that, you get like maybe not quite 15 minutes, but they extract what they're looking for. But the whole process was just phenomenal, and just looking right into the camera and talking and doing whatever. Like I said,
indeed,
there's
right,
hours and hours and hours of taping,
right.
and so there's lots of things we touched on, and actually, what made it really easy. I mean, since then it's really easy to look into a camera and do what I do. I mean, because I do these like live stream clearings, so you look right into the camera with that. But what happened too was Denisa was close by, and then they also had a film on her. So when you looked into the camera, there was another little picture down below, so you could actually see her reactions
Hmm.
and her face and that type of thing, which was really cool.
Wow. It's just interesting. It's such a new concept, and I guess it's going to take a little bit. I don't know if you've heard of any of the reviews or some of the feedback that's coming back of the experiences that people have had with this. Do you
Well,
know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of people have very powerful experiences, and it's also,
Yeah.
your film is meant to be watched over and over because you just get more out of it every time you watch it. I know that happened for me, even just with the people that were in the film. I got new stuff or felt something different after seeing it several times, and each time was like a great new experience. Like, wow, a bit more even deeper meanings of it.
Right. Where do you think? What do you think from here? I don't know that this is a whole new direction for what you do, but I certainly feel it adds to it. I mean, do you think it's just another experience in your direction, or has this added a whole new facet to things that you'll be doing more of, do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm open to doing more stuff with Denise. So she's talked about doing other things, other topics, so to speak. And I mean, I would be totally open to doing that. And as far as this in my life, we've shown the film here. I live in Las Vegas, and we've shown the film here once. And I was intending to create more showings of it. And at the same time, what I do, my work and my focus and my teachings and all that are like kind of like taking the front seat, so to speak. And so it just feels like this is also a piece of it, and it definitely contributes to the validity and that type of thing of who I am and what I do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the stuff I'm doing is really my focus and direction.
And let's talk
So
about that. How has for 28 years, that's a long time, especially when you're only
yeah,
31,
yeah,
and it's a long time to be doing what you're doing.
it's a
Um,
very long time. Yes,
it's good. It's a good amount of time. But what
and
obviously you've seen your changes and your growth, and I feel that you're probably still just at the verge of like there's so much more to learn. But tell me about the basis of your work. I know that a lot of it is core clearing, if I got that phrase right, core clearing, or kind of cleaning up maybe your past and moving forward, or what is the main theme, I guess, of your work?
well,
Or is there is
yeah,
there something?
there is.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty huge, really. It's basically, I mean, of course, my work has changed over the years. I mean, if you would have listened to me years ago, and years ago, it's very different than what I do now. And of course,
Of
it's more
course.
accelerated, and my expertise is just that many years, you get really good at what you do.
Of course.
But basically, the foundation of the work is really about liberating people from things that are not them. And what people don't really understand is if you have feelings or thoughts that you can't get through or over or get rid of or somehow get help with, what most of the time it's something else in the way. I'll just give you a really quick example. I had a woman come in and she was sharing with me that she's now single, she's divorced and dating, and she has total anxiety, and she absolutely couldn't even function in dating. And so when I did the clearing, I took out all these entities inside of her. I took out cleared up a lot of past lives where she had literally been harmed and hurt and killed in many different ways. So the trust issues were really huge. And then also clearing out some of the dark force interference where there's actual energies around her body, in her body, that were kind of holding her in a certain state of being. And then removing thought forms. And so by the time I was done, it's like you can't even find that thought anymore. So I mean, and it's possible for almost everything. And so, for example, like people with PTSD, which in reality, almost everyone in the world has some degree of PTSD, because what happens is any kind of shock or trauma or repeated abuse or life-threatening situations, especially people that are coming back from the war, they're coming back with extreme cases of PTSD. And what I do is clean out the entities because it's amazing. But in these countries, their bodies get attacked and invaded with all kinds of really, really intense beings, and that happens because when you're in stress, you literally leave your body, and then things can come in. So we clean out all of this and bring you back in and take out some of the trauma and whatever else is in there, and you have a normal life again. And it's so fast. It's just amazing. So basically, anything that someone is experiencing, sometimes even physical pain, can be eliminated in a matter of seconds. And behaviors, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, anything that ails somebody, or even inhibitions or insecurities or unworthiness, all anything that your mind runs stories over, or where you feel inhibited or blocked, or where you can't move forward, that's the kind of stuff energetically that I clear. And then of course we do have the emotional stuff, which is the core emotional clearing, and that doesn't really need to happen until you've cleared out all these other entities and all these other things that are interfering with you, and then you're left with yourself. And then that's, even though there may be some really intense things that people have lived through, they can get through it much easier. So it's a whole, it deals with the emotions as well as all the things that are interfering and influencing humanity, basically.
So it sounds very
And
different because working through past traumas and things like that, um, is more of the, I don't want to say the norm, but you know what I mean. The function, I guess, of spirituality is to work through these things and
Hmm.
release on those types of things.
Right,
And
right.
it almost, just so I'm not misunderstanding, it almost sounds like the work that you do for some goes away and almost like erases all those. Like you said, they couldn't even find the thoughts
Right.
anymore.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
do you
yeah.
think the good? But you and I know that good parts of experience, whether it be what we label as bad or good, there's some growth there, there's some expansion there.
Hmm.
Does that still
Yeah, it
remain?
doesn't
Just
take away from
like,
that. And just to, for a little clarity, when I had the Renaissance Center for 13 years, the focus was mostly on the emotional piece, which is what people nowadays are finally waking up to, that you have to do your emotional work. Well, what's happening for me in my world is, yeah, you got to do your emotional work, but let's clear out what's not you before you spin your wheels trying to do all your emotional work. And here's something that's really kind of interesting. If someone has, let's just say someone's been molested as a child, okay? So they got all
right,
this trauma. There's so many pieces to that. Okay, well, what's also going to happen is their body will also have other spirit beings, other thought forms, other influences that are contributing to the intensity of that experience. And some of the entities that are in there, because like energy attracts like energy, will have attracted to them other beings that have been violated or molested. So if you're doing you just your emotional work around it, you can get into all the different components and all the trust and violations and all the different feelings that arise. But what happens is if you don't clear out the entities or the thought forms or all these other energies that are inside the person, then they don't really get completely through it. There's always something there, and or maybe they got to continue to go through some more stuff. And so, what I like for me, it's like it's so much more to it than just doing your feeling work.
right.
And the feeling work was something that I was doing like 28 years ago, and it wasn't even heard of. And now it's like really popular. And what's so now it's really popular, but they're still missing this other piece that's vitally important.
Well, they do. They spin around that and they think, okay, all done.
Yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
they come back like 6 months later and they're like, well, I thought and then they beat themselves up and judge themselves because they thought they had let that go. I thought I got rid of that already and blah blah blah. And then they spin around just that.
Right, right. And then the other piece, see, the thing about emotional work that people don't know is, people do this feeling thing and then they think they've done their feeling work. But if your mind is still active, if you're still in a thinking process, then you're not clearing it. It's all about the surrender. And when you clear your emotions, the key is you have to surrender completely to whatever the feeling is that's rising up so that nothing else exists but that feeling. You have no sense of anything else around you. You have no sense if there's anybody else in the room with you. All you know is that feeling, and there are no thoughts. And in the moment a thought comes in, you're no longer in that deep surrender. So it's always about letting go, deepening all the way. And it can be excruciating. Sometimes it feels like you're going to go crazy, you're going to die, you're never going to come out of it. And
Right.
yet, when you surrender completely, the unwinding happens, and I can see that in people's body, and then phenomenal changes would happen. But if you're trying to do your emotional work and you're still thinking in your mind any thoughts whatsoever, then you're not in that total surrender, and the energy is not truly unwinding. You have to know it, and the only way to know it is to become it so fully that there is nothing else but the feeling. And then the next feeling will rise up once you've gone through that and the energy's been released. The next piece will arise, and it'll be a different feeling.
Yeah.
So it's a process, and this has been my work. Like I said, I've been doing this for 28 years, and originally it was about the emotional work, and now it's all about all the pieces.
Right. Getting
So
down to the core because you
yeah,
could be releasing on emotions forever, but when you
exactly.
get
The
down to the
spin,
core, just stay
yeah,
open and they just
it
merely pass through you after a
moves
time.
through the body. Exactly,
I like that.
exactly.
It's very, very good point because that's what I've discovered as well is that we're just removing some of the blocks. First, it's a resistance to feeling what you feel because the brain tells us, no, 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 I'm going to die if I let that feeling come
Yeah, you're
up,
gonna
right?
die. You're gonna
And then
die.
they finally do. And then there's so many other different feelings like that, like a tissue box. You pull one Kleenex and another one pops up. And it's like after a
Yeah.
while, you're right. We learn to just get rid of the whole Kleenex box. instead of
Exactly. It's pretty
tissue by
awesome.
tissue, right? So I love that work, and it's very deep, but it's also, I don't want to scare people, but it takes effort, doesn't it? They have to be willing
You
to
gotta
really
be brave. I'm telling you. People come. I have to tell you, people would come in and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm ready to do my work." And as soon as these feelings would start coming up, boy, they did not want to feel them.
it
And
hurts,
then
it
all the
hurts, it hurts.
resistance comes up, and they think. And I'm telling you, they say, and I'm not joking. It feels like you're gonna die, or it feels
I
like you're
know,
gonna
yeah.
go crazy,
It's
or it
it
feels
is.
like you can't handle it. And yet, the truth is you can. You really can, but it's
You
just about
totally
the
can.
surrender. Get out of
And
the mind. But yeah, it's funny. People are so funny.
it's usually just getting past that first big feeling, and
Yeah, that
then
one.
it's like, well, see, that wasn't so bad. You didn't die. You're not this big mush blob on the floor. You're just fine. And you're right. They just run away. But I
Yeah.
think that it's a
Yeah.
challenge
Your
because a
heart felt
lot of
like it was
people,
breaking in two, crushing, shattering. Yes. Yeah.
you're right, into a thousand pieces. But
Yeah.
I think it's challenging for our work in this day because there are a lot of people that get lazy, and especially if they know that you're intuitive because they just want the answers. Just give me the
Exactly.
answer
Yeah.
rather than
Yep.
doing the work, isn't it? Are you finding challenges with your work with people and opening up to that degree?
Um, Actually, not so much, only because I kind of educate them when we're coming in to do a workshop or any kind of emotional work. Um, it's like they're the ones who have to go through it, not me. They're the ones who have to face themselves, not me. And I
Right.
make, help them and support them and then also guiding them because once a person's in a feeling state, whatever's next presents and just give them a couple words and they got it. And if they can just surrender, magic happens for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, most people actually, the challenging piece, which is kind of crazy, but usually people that have done a lot of spiritual work and have been on a path for a long time, they have a lot of belief systems set in place. So when it's time to do this surrender thing, they sometimes are the most difficult to get in to feel
Yeah.
because yeah, it's just kind of a trip.
No, I do. I know that. I always sometimes tell some of my clients the worst thing you could do is have spiritual knowledge because now
Yeah,
it's going to
I
be
agree.
twice as hard. It's
Yeah, and then they think they got all the answers too. So sometimes they're not open. They think that this is only one way, or that what they've learned is the totality of truth, and it just simply isn't that. I mean, all paths lead you back, and if something presents, be open to it.
and you're never done. They don't get that. You're never done. It's a constant expansion. If you get to a place where you think, "My God, I'm finally here," you're not. Keep going.
Yeah,
You gotta keep going. And you're
yeah,
and you're right. That stops them in the tracks. Otherwise, it's just something. No, because my way is the way, and I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever. And they just get,
yeah, yeah.
stuck on that path. It's very fascinating. Do you
It
think
is.
what is some of the biggest resistances, which is totally a word, do you find that people have today? There are different types of resistance, whether it be relationships or old past patterns or things like that. But do you find there's a commonality in some of the resistance that you get from clients? Is there one big theme sometimes among your clients?
I think for me, the people that have numbed out, where they really can't feel anything, those are the most challenging people. And then of course people in relationship, it's one. Oh yeah, this is a good one. So the whole thing about who's having a reaction. So if something happens and you react because your partner did something, and then you're saying you made me feel this way. It's like waking them up to who's having a reaction, because that's the doorway back into the self. There wouldn't be a reaction if there wasn't something inside of them. So when I had the center, the Renaissance Center, it would take, I'm telling you, honest to God, for real, it would take 2 years of a Know Thyself program for some people to finally get that they were the one having a reaction. Their reaction was about them, had nothing to do with the other person. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean that what the other person did was right or wrong. It wasn't about that, but it was about their reaction to that. And even to this day, it is like people do not get that piece. And until you get that piece, you are lost. You will never, never create a relationship where you're on the same side, the same team, where you're using relationship for your own liberation. It'll always be about the enemy and you did this to me rather than, oh, I'm having a reaction. Oh, must be something going on inside of me that I'm not awake to. So, I see it, I hear it, it's constant in everyone, 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 everyone. The pointing the finger at somebody else because I had a reaction and you made me have that reaction. And it simply isn't
We're
true.
very linked on that because that's exactly what I was going to say from my perspective. It's always the blame, always and you had said it, the pointing of fingers, because it's all of a sudden there's me and then there's what's attacking me, or like you said, the enemy, or what they're immediately attaching to the feeling instead of it's just you and the feeling. And
Right, right.
right,
And they're
it's
thinking
just
that the other person made them feel that way.
so
But
difficult to get to
you
the
know
root.
this, obviously. I mean, when we clear something up, we're not having these reactions anymore. It just doesn't exist.
Right.
And yeah, so people just, it's like they have a reaction and they point, you made me feel this way, or or I'm being punished, or, all these mind thoughts that have nothing to do with what's really happening.
And then again, also getting caught up in self-blame because I allowed you to affect me. I said I wasn't going to do that, right? And so then that's a whole nother circle that
That's
goes around.
another story. Yeah, exactly. But it's
So
all, it's all ways in which we avoid looking at ourselves. It's all an avoidance.
it is, and we just yeah, I want to. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. It's just about a minute or so, but
Okay.
I want to talk to you more about this because now we're starting to get down into the core of what it really is about, and then maybe if you have your few tips and tricks from a shaman on what it is we can do right now to even start that self-exploration, or what it is that you would recommend, in the direction ahead. I understand it. It obviously, takes more than just our short time together, but maybe we push somebody onto that,
Sure. Yeah.
listen to me, push somebody and get onto that spiritual path. Um, we
Wake up,
guide,
wake up.
help transition them onto the spiritual path.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so we'll talk more about that, but coming up in just a moment. Listen, everybody, hang on just a second. You're listening to Psychic Viewpoint, and I'm Bobby Marquez, so our special guest, Bonnie Serratore. Is that the correct pronunciation, Bonnie?
Yeah, you got it right.
Thank you very much. Okay, good. And we're going to be back in just another moment, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
A new era in psychic services has begun. PsychicAccess.com. You can connect with our psychic advisors by telephone or chat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All of our psychic advisors are interviewed, fully verified, and accuracy tested, assuring you quality service. We're living in some very troubled times right now. More and more, the world's problems are affecting us on a personal level. You don't have to deal with this alone. Our highly accurate psychics, caring advisors, and talented mediums can help with situations you are currently experiencing and can let you know what the future may hold for you. All new customers get a free 6-minute reading. All you have to do is register. Why not visit us now and get a free reading at psychicaccess.com.
And welcome back, everyone. Again, my name is Bobby Marquez, and you're listening to Psychic Viewpoint, sponsored by PsychicAccess.com. Before we get back into our interview, I wanted to tell you, don't forget about calling in. That's going to be another, probably 45 minutes or so. We'll give out the number, and then you'll be able to call in and talk with myself or one of our other co-hosts and ask questions. We'll talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about, and we'll try to help you in whatever way that we can. But meanwhile, I do want to get back to our interview with Bonnie Serratore, who is a contemporary shaman. I want to give her that title for now until she corrects me. But we've been talking about getting into the core of who you are, and then going a little bit further and realizing, I think one of the main resistances that we have in life today is blame. The biggest resistance that we have is blame. You did this to me. I can't believe. Well, I wouldn't be upset if you hadn't have said this or you hadn't have done that. And then trying to realize that it comes from our emotions, because if we don't have something else to put it on, how are we supposed to get rid of the emotion, and it's such a twisting road that's so difficult for a lot of people to grasp. So what would be one of the first things, Bonnie, when you're trying to direct somebody from your perspective, when you're trying to direct somebody to themselves, what is one of the ways that a person can get some of that self-awareness now? Or do you have I don't know if it's an exercise or a couple things to maybe start them off with? I mean, everybody's probably heard about breathing, right? You used to just start breathing and now,
Forget about
but
breathing.
sometimes that doesn't feed the mind so well. People want
Yeah,
more.
yeah. I mean, first of all, people really do need to at least make an attempt to grasp the concept that when when you're having a reaction, you literally feel like a zing or a charge of intense energy moving through you. If that is happening, you are having a reaction to something that's already inside of you. So for people when they're first like really practicing and wanting to have some kind of sense of self and looking at oneself and cleaning your own life up, you have to get that if you're having a reaction, there is something inside of your body, in your subconscious, that is causing you to have this reaction. And if you can wake up to that the moment you have a reaction, the moment you feel this zingy charged energy ripping through your body and you want to lash out or you want to make somebody wrong or you want to point the finger or blame somebody, you got to just pull it in and go and remind yourself, I'm the one having a reaction. I'm having a reaction. And to really get that reaction is your doorway in to the subconscious, and that will allow you to unravel what it is that you are feeling inside that got lit up through the circumstances or situation that occurred in that moment. So the first step is always a self-awareness, and you have to, it's like, wake up. I'm having a reaction. My body's lit up. I'm on fire. I'm feeling all this intensity. And you got to just be with it and stay with it and don't put the energy, make it about somebody else. I mean, that's the very, very, very first step, is to wake up to who's having a reaction. I am.
I think that you have a very important step there to first I'm having a reaction, the feelings are going on, and then you start to realize why or where that reaction came from. So many people do the opposite, don't they? It comes up, and then I have to attack it, and I have to figure out why I did that, understand it, where it came from, that type of thing, and that's backwards. I think that if you do it in the steps that you said, the insights on why, if there is an insight to be had, there isn't. I don't think there is always. I think sometimes you do what you do, and so what? But if it comes up, there will be an insight. You have to clear the way first for the insight to happen. And that was a very important step process that you said there, because so many people, like I say, do it backwards and they beat themselves up. I don't understand why this keeps happening, and they find out why. And it doesn't help to find out why.
And people, something else that's really vitally important is your mind will never figure it out. Never.
No.
Never, never, never.
And it never helps. I always say, haven't you ever figured out why you've done something, and then you just big fat still do it, or you do it again? So obviously, why doesn't help so much. But yeah, you can't. There may be things that you don't even know about. So many things from childhood, layers and layers and layers of thoughts and perceptions. But do you ever now? But I know in some of your work, though, you've talked about that you heal the present by going into the past, though. So.
Yeah.
How do you explain that then, as far as, so sometimes, and I agree that sometimes it is beneficial, but how do we know when it's beneficial to go into the past and when it's just enough to say, look, I'm in pain, I just want this pain to go away. It doesn't matter where, why, who, or what. I just need to alleviate myself of this reaction.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. Right? So, it isn't so much, I mean, sometimes, yes, we go into the past of this life, and yet what happens is if you look at the soul imprint, it carries forth all of its traumas, dramas, intensities, losses, betrayals, abandonments, on and on and on. And if you don't clear that, if you don't do the unwinding of the feeling component, you carry that forth. That's why people have the same, over and over and over, same types of reincarnations, same types of experiences. It's like a loop. So partly clearing the past is truly clearing your life stream. It's clearing your, like I was saying before, entities, things from the past that are contributing to how you are now. So, for me, it's not so much you got to go back into your childhood and go through every little thing. It's not about that. But it's
Okay.
really about clearing your life stream, clearing your soul imprints, as well as if there's emotional trauma in the body, then yes, we clear that. But it doesn't mean you have to go back and remember everything. It's your reactions that are going to get you in there. And if you can just follow the feeling that rose up when you just prior to that immediate reaction, if you just go into that feeling, that's your gateway in. And that's partly how you're going to clear the past, is by dropping into the feeling that you avoided by blaming somebody else for your reaction. So what we're clearing is, yes, we're clearing all the emotional charge in the body, but we're also clearing soul imprints as well as everything else that's, from the past in your energy field. So it's quite a bit, quite detailed, and yet it's just phenomenal. I mean, the liberation that it happens for people is pretty astounding.
Well, it's like magic, and I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
it
magic,
is.
but to people who are doing it, it is, and it's a good point. I think what you just said may clear away a lot of walls or resistance as well with people, because it sounds scary when you
Mm-hmm.
talk about going into the past and figuring out, they're like, oh, I want to, I just want to leave it alone, or I don't want to go there again. I don't want to feel those types of feelings again. They spend however long they do covering it up, and now we're trying to uncover it again, and that's not it. So that was really, I like how you explained that, because I think that lowers a lot of people's,
Right,
fight
right.
fight
Well, it's kind
attitude.
of like having a toothache. It's like you can have this toothache linger for your entire life, or you can go in and get it taken out, and it's going to hurt like heck for a short period of time, but then it's over. So it's the same thing with doing our emotional work. Like I said, you don't have to remember everything. You don't have to look for the memories. The feelings are already there. They're in your body. That's why you're reacting. So if you surrender to those, clean those out, you're going to find that your reactions stop, your mind chatter stops, slows down. You find yourself not reacting. You find yourself, just in a much more state of being that feels more open and available and more compassionate and happier and more joyful. So it's really worth it. I mean, I know it's terrifying for people. I mean, the scariest thing we'll ever do is face ourselves,
Yeah,
and yet
but it has
it's
to
the
be done.
doorway to liberation.
It has to be done,
It
and this
has to
is
be done.
what you've been talking about for close to 30 years. Is what I've been talking about since I started. You have to do it, and we can't. I always talk to them when they come and they want certain answers. You can't always get that from Mr. Psychic Boy over here. You got to do it yourself, and this is how. And it's so funny still to this day how many people are like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to do all that.
Oh
Can you just give me
yeah,
the answer?
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
tell me.
People are terrified.
Oy vey.
But the deal is, like you said, everybody has to do it, and it's really true. Everyone will have to face themselves in this lifetime, or I don't care if it's 100 lifetimes from now. Everyone's going to have to do it.
Absolutely. Let's talk about things that people can go to your website. They can get some information. I'm looking at it's I really like this download. I'm so instant kind of guy, and when I buy things, I want it now. And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I actually went to the store a couple of days ago and got. You know, they have these actual books, like you hold them. You know what I mean? And you turn the pages. It's crazy. You don't just lick your finger and swipe it across the screen. They have these actual books in a bookstore. It's the first book I've bought since I don't know how long, and it was such a great feeling. But I love the electronic downloads. And you have a PDF called The Way Back Home.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Is that a good one for people to start? Is this a starting off point, or
That's a
or
great
what?
starting off. It explains all the how we get emotionally damaged, how the wounding all happens, and there's every story, and there's an actual true story of actual people and their journey, and it tells people exactly how to do your feeling work, step by
Wonderful,
step.
wonderful,
Yes, that's a good
wonderful.
basic.
Okay, and again, that's on Bonnie's whiteflameinstitute.com. She's on our guest page as well, so you can just link to that. And then just go to the store, and
Yep.
it talks about the books and CDs, and then you obviously have courses. You're in California, correct?
No, actually in Las Vegas now,
Oh, that's right.
Nevada.
I'm sorry. You did say Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
But that's only 3 hours away from us. And I used to actually live in Las Vegas for a time. And the other, let's talk about the DVD Coming Home. Is that like a companion to the Way Back Home, or is that something completely different?
No, that's it's actually different. What it is it just gives you little snippets of consciousness kind of teachings, and that also is meant to be listened to like repeatedly. I remember the guy that this is funny. The guy that he was one of my students, and he was the one who put it together for me. He did an interview, and he took all these little segments, and he said during his creating of it, putting it together, it's like he just like had a moment where he just like literally almost fell to the floor because he was like, "Wow, everything I have lived is a lie." His relation, everything. So it just shattered his world. Just
Mm,
listening to to these pieces. So it's just things that will anchor into you and wake you up. And like I said, you don't just sit there and listen to the whole CD. It's like it's too much. You just
right.
listen to 1 or 2 minute, 1 or 2 sections at a time, and then you do it over and over, and it's like something starts to anchor in and wake you up.
Nice. So again, another great tool for a beginner, yeah, to
Uh-huh.
kind of
Yeah.
start with. Great. So tell me about, and this just sounds so fun, about your excursions. Is it called the Odyssey?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
What
those
is
are
that?
so cool. It's someone was just recently, and I asked her to give a little synopsis of what that was like. She goes, just imagine being at the beach, having a great time, or having a glass of wine, and then Bonnie just kind of starts tuning into you and starts exposing some of your unconscious places. What it's really about, it's about liberation. It's about waking up while having fun. We do all this hard work and all this emotional work and all these really intense experiences. So we want to enjoy our lives while at the same time having awakening that's in a fun situation. So we go to wonderful, beautiful places and spend time together and just really be on vacation. And yet, you know, when you're in the hot seat, it doesn't feel so good. And it's really about helping you to unravel your behaviors because when you're living in a group situation for 7 days, your behaviors get exposed, your attitudes, your beliefs, your dysfunctions, everything gets exposed. So it's in the moment when it's happening that you're assisted to wake up to it first of all, and then and then also assisted to be willing to face it, and then also to clear it. So people literally have life-changing experiences while having fun.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah,
it's very funny. I always joke because this particular excursion takes place in Hawaii, and
this one,
I've
yeah.
always joked about doing readings or sessions in Hawaii because there has to be a point where I turn to them on the beach and say, seriously, what problems do you have right now? How bad is
It's
your
true.
life?
We're in
You want me to
paradise.
help
Yeah.
you? Come on, you're in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But I love the wording that you have because it really, for me personally, sums up what it is that I try to do, dissolving the ego, getting
Mm-hmm.
people to who they are, not who they think they are. You,
Uh-huh.
the ego, the personality that you are, the character that you are, is just a thought, and thoughts that are feelings arise that can be let go of, and I love how you just go straight for that because that is the place where there isn't these worries or anxieties or the finger pointing or the blame or something's been done
Right.
to you. That's the Kleenex box, getting rid of the whole box. That's totally it. So I love, 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 love your work. I think this is just wonderful. So you have excursions, but don't you have also um, like workshops or things that
Mm-hmm.
where people can get together, like intensives or things like
Yeah.
that as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah. Yeah. We have core emotional clearing, which is dealing with the deep, deep unraveling of the subconscious. So that those are very intense and yet very life changing. And then I do the live stream clearings, energetic clearings called Sundays with Bonnie. Those are now available every single Sunday. The first Sunday of every month is actually live. The rest are recorded, but they're all very effective because of the way it's done and the guidance that I help you to do. Then I have classes that I'm teaching other healers how to do this work, and I teach also lots of different mini classes, like one on relationship and another one on claiming sovereignty and just little, lots of little things and some really big stuff and oh yeah, we're going to be doing a major PTSD seminar in August, so that's going to be profound. I mean, that is, guys are coming back with so much trauma,
Oh
and
yeah.
to be able to have it cleared and to get on with your life is like a godsend. So
Well,
yeah, so
and then their
lots of different
families.
things.
Do you invite the families? I mean, do the families come as well?
Hmm.
Because obviously PSD isn't something that just affects the person, it affects
Right.
entire families. Now we have to teach families, I don't want to say how to deal with it, but how to support their loved ones, right? It becomes there's two different types of teachings. There's you and how to get through that, and then there's a family on how to support them in the best way to get through
Right,
what they're
right.
going through.
Yeah, what's a clearing for everybody? Because in that workshop, I give some teaching. Of course, you have to kind of to talk about what we're going to be doing and the power of it and how it all works and how it all happens, how you get it, and then we do lots of little clearings, energy clearings, and integration and lots of stuff. And so everybody's having a benefit, and everyone is having a clearing, even the family members that are there. So it's for everybody,
Right.
not
And
just
I'm sorry,
the.
when is that coming up again?
That's in August,
Okay. And then they
August
can sign up on your
17th.
website for that, can they?
Yeah, I don't know if we have our date up on it. It is in there.
Yeah.
There's a page on it. There's also an article on it, and then also in there, I think it's next to the article. Maybe one of the guys, Brady. He's he was over in Iraq, and for 7 years he was suffering really bad and medication, disability, therapy, and he came to something. This is in Utah, and I did a program there, and you can hear him. He says in 3 hours he had more clearing and than he did in 7 years. So it's pretty profound.
I like I do like the quickness of our type of
Hmm.
work because
Yep.
so many people try to do the right thing and they go to several other options, I guess,
Hmm.
available, right?
Yep.
And it takes too long. Nobody's ever getting right to the point, and you get through it, don't you? You take them right where the
Hmm.
bud of the problem exists to get rid of it, and it does
Yep.
happen literally that fast. After one
Yeah.
session, one excursion, one intensive,
Yep.
you can feel more clear than exactly what he said than you felt in years.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Um, what is it? Do you take clients, like, do you do this over the phone as well? Is it as profound over the phone?
Yeah, I mean, energy's energy. I mean,
Yeah.
well, you know this. We can see energy or work with energy, clear energy. It doesn't matter if the person's right next to us or over the phone or however. Um, yeah, so mostly though, I'm more focusing on the group clearing stuff and helping people in that way. Um, yeah, it's more about helping lots of people, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
I love
And
groups.
and I do
I
some
like
individual.
I do like the individual sessions, but there's nothing like a group. When you
Yeah,
get together, it's that many times that many with the clearing and the releasing, and one person releases, and we all do, and there's
yeah,
just something dynamic about a group.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Group.
powerful, powerful, powerful.
Bonnie, thank you so much. I love your energy and love the what you're doing and how linked it is. And again, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Um, get a hold of Bonnie at whiteflameinstitute.com. She's all over the web. YouTube, a few YouTube videos, so many tools on her website. Again, Sunday with Bonnie, also available, and just, if you need it sounds to me, and that's what I resonate with, is just some very simple tools to get going. So, Bonnie, thank you so much again.
Oh, and thank you so much. It's been really, really great,
All
really
right,
fun.
Bonnie. All right. Take care, sweets. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hello, my name is Res Miranda. If you're having relationship, career, or life issues, I'm inviting you to experience what it's like to have access to professional, highly accurate psychics and spiritual advisors you can trust to care and help you. Register now to get your free 6-minute reading by telephone or chat. Get answers, get access, psychic access, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. PsychicAccess.com.